your advice for new investors into the market, in particular, stock market?
Yeah, yeah. What I would say is, number one, get educated. And what I mean by that is that there's a difference between the education you get in school and the education you can get for yourself. If you notice, schools never teach us about money, right? They never teach us about investing. They don't teach you how to manage a household. Schools will teach you how to be a good employee, or to be, to go to how to run a company, right? But they don't teach you how to invest. They don't teach you how to grow your wealth. You won't learn that in school. You won't learn that in college, right? So it's something you have to take on for yourself. So one of the things I did, as I mentioned, was I knew enough to know I didn't know, right? And I just anchored to something. I just started with an investigation of money and the differences between money and currency, right? Just starting with that, and then the different types of money. And then why is currency called currency? Why do we have cash flows, right? Why do we have all these different terminologies, right? So I really spent some time in there. The other thing I did was I invested in a number of different investment newsletters to try to learn how investing works. Now, a lot of newsletters will just say, go buy this hot stock, right? Go buy this, here's 5 reasons why, go buy it, right? I actually found a newsletter company that goes deeper into it. And I don't get any money for saying this, by the way. I'm not a paid sponsor in any way, nothing like that. I'm telling you the truth. After investing in a number of different investment newsletters, I found one company called Stansberry Research. They have a number of different newsletter products that they sell. One of them is free. So if you go to stansberryresearch.com, I recommend just subscribing to their free newsletter. Start there, right? They actually teach you not just what their investment thesis is, but why. And that's been a difference for me, the why, right? So they'll say, like, there's a guy there named Steve Sugarud, who for the last decade, I've disagreed with almost everything he said, but he's been right. He's been absolutely right. So as an example, he'll say, he has, his thesis was the stock market's in a melt up. A melt up is when the market's really hot, it's really high, right? People like me start going, okay, maybe it's time to sell. And he says, not yet. We're in a melt up, the blow off top, that when the market really gets hot, before it starts to go down, before the bubble gets pricked, it goes almost vertical, right? Where everyone goes in, like the grandmas, the people who don't typically invest all pile in, right? Those last investors that have been holding out all jump in, and then the market melts up a little higher, then sell. So he's been saying that for years. And he said, here's exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And I'm going, okay, let me watch and see this. And I got to admit, the guy has been accurate every step of the way, to the point where if I disagree with what he says, I go with what he says. He has proven to me that he's more accurate than I am, period. So find an investment newsletter that doesn't just give you an answer and says, go buy this. Find one that teaches you why you should buy that. So now you're smarter, right? And then make them prove it to you. So I don't just take his advice and just run with it. If I disagree with it, I'm disagreeing, but I'm watching, who's right. And if he's right, I have to be humble enough to say, okay, he's better at this than I am. I'll listen to him.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
More jewels. James, I love that because, oftentimes, we would just look at the headlines on television. I'm going to subscribe to that free newsletter. Right now, I'm a Barron's guy, and I'm not sure if you are a fan of Barron's, but at least it's a start to get information. And I have to pay for it. Like you can get the free information, or you can pay to get that deeper information, that deeper knowledge. And what I have found is it's given me an edge that I would have not gotten otherwise. If you're going to really invest your money, you should do what's best for you to get educated. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
And here's another tenet, if you will. By the time it's on the news, you're too late, right? So by the time you see it on the news, it's already too late. You know, everyone knows it now. So you're already behind the gun. So that's why following the crowd isn't always the best way to go, because the jig is up, right? The secret's out. The key is to get into investments when they're cheap, right? How do you do that? Well, you have to know when they're cheap, but you can't watch every market all the time. We not all of us have families. We have our own ways of earning our income, our businesses, our companies, all those things. Some of us have both, right? But the thing I like about a really solid investment newsletter company is that they can be watching for you. So then you get the email that says, okay, here's what's going on. Now you have some inside scoop. What I love about the newsletter sometimes is they'll say, hey, don't invest in this yet, but here's the trend that we're seeing starting to happen. Right? So now you have an early look and it's like, oh, what's going on there? You know, and you can start investigating early enough and getting yourself comfortable in your own knowledge, because you should never invest in anything you don't understand. That's the other thing, right? You should understand what you're investing in. So if you have a
Yes.
newsletter saying, here's what's coming up, that gives you time to dive in, watch videos, read, buy books, do those things, get invested in your own education on different sectors that you can invest in. And then when they say, hey, we told you guys we're watching this for the last 2 months, we just hit these numbers, we think now's the time to go in, go. Well, now you have a basis of understanding. You've been watching it for 2 months, you've done your own research. So when they say go, you can make a solid, educated decision. Should I go or should I not go? Right? At least, so you're not just trusting blindly. You've done some work, right? So don't invest in anything you don't understand, but you do need some help in knowing where to look. And that's where a really solid investment newsletter can help you.